Hello, my name is Matt. I work as a writing tutor at my local community college. For my educational technology class, I was assigned to create a short video tutorial. So today I'm going to go over how to outline a general argumentative essay, and then how to enter that outline into Inspiration software to display as a visual concept map. So hopefully at this point you have already loaded up your Inspiration software. It's not 100% free, you pay for upgrades. And once you have it, start it from the Start menu. This will pop up as soon as you open it. And for our purposes, we'll go with the outline view. Now with the outline view, first let's come up with our main idea. And in this case, I think I mentioned we are going over a general argumentative outline. Okay. So one thing to remember when entering things into the outline format is the topic and subtopic keys at the top. So when you go to topic when you have one of your main points to establish. If you're going more into that topic, then you'll hit subtopic. Otherwise, you just keep hitting the topic key and it'll keep going. So first, let's enter our first topic. First, we should probably start with an introduction. After all, we have an argumentative paper to write here. So your introduction, generally speaking, should begin with a hook or a grab statement, like a quote or interesting fact about the topics of the paper, topic or topics. So we should probably go into more detail there. So after introducing the topic of the argument, we click back on it and we'll go to subtopic, and that'll give us our next entry. And then we click on the subtopic line again, and there it will introduce the topic and the argument, and what does the reader need to know before diving into the paper. Quick hint is that everything mentioned in the topic sentences should be mentioned here. So we've got our first topic in the introduction. Let's finish off the introduction. We can go on to more topics and statements here, but why don't we do another subtopic here? First mistake, I should have probably put in my two subtopics. So in Inspiration, when you enter the subtopic, it tends to bump them. I think if you click and drag, you can actually move it up a hierarchy. What do you know? That worked. Good to know. So anyway, let's go on with the sentence for the introduction paragraph. So after you think you've established as many main points as you need to that you'd like to cover in your paper, the last sentence of your main paragraph should be a thesis statement. In other words, the idea, which is the topic and the critical arguments and the opinion. In the simplest form, it's the how, what, and why. Okay? So for the next part of your essay, you're going to want to get into your body paragraphs. Now, ideally, you should have a body paragraph for each of your main ideas that were stated in the introduction paragraph. So we'll just start with one body paragraph right now. Okay. That starts with the topic sentence selected from the introduction. It's a specific part of the argument. So now here we'll plan ahead, and let's add some subtopics. Let's say 2 subtopics in the body paragraph. Oops, did it again. It's really easy to do. So for when you hit subtopic too many times, you can click on that line and cut it again. So if you're going along the same lines, it's another topic. So let's add 3 here. Okay, so for this body paragraph, let's make our first sentence a main idea. So the main idea introduces evidence, in other words, according to or the author implies. So what do we mean by that? Well, these paragraphs should be separated into, if anyone's ever heard of meal paragraphs, it's good to have 3 meals a day and 3 meal paragraphs per argumentative essay. So for a meal paragraph, what we're going to, meal is an abbreviation standing for MEAL. M stands for main idea. We got that point. So we have a subtopic we need to get into. And one for each of the abbreviations. So we've covered what M means, which is main idea. The next sentence should be evidence, E for evidence. So evidence is, this is a good place to put quotes, summaries, paraphrases. In other words, the stuff you are going to cite for your paper. The next abbreviation, A in meal, stands for analyze. So if you're going to analyze this, what that means is we are going to explain why the evidence is relevant to our main idea. So once we've performed an analysis, so in other words, we're just going to explain what we just quoted. Why did you just give me that quote? And what's it supposed to mean? So finally, once you've explained why you have connected this evidence and things like that, now you want to link it to your thesis. How does that prove your thesis? So you have someone that agrees with you. Why do you think they agree with you? And how does that prove your full opinion? So that's the basic structure for your main body paragraphs. So let's try another one there. So next paragraph follows much the same. Click on your main point here and insert. So we have another main idea. And then we'll have, again, the evidence, your quotes, your sources, your information, people who agree with you, your analysis, which is how you explain how they agree with you and exactly why you think that they back you up, and then you want to link it to your thesis. Basic meal paragraphs. So then let's go on to another main topic up here. So the hierarchy starts with general or argumentative. If I hit topic here, it gives me my 3. Oh, that actually gives me another one. Let's grab this and move this down. Click and down. So with inspiration, what you can also do, if you do what I did and made a mistake there and click the wrong button, like I like to do a lot, you can drag your subjects over, actually, put them in a different hierarchy. So there we go. So you notice that the little red dots and the lines, when I clicked and dragged it, show which portion of the outline it'll fall under. Very useful for moving things around. So now that we've taken care of that, the meal paragraphs there, let's say, okay, so we had a couple main points that we wanted to introduce there. Let's put in another body paragraph just for fun. We'll make this outline a little more inclusive. So, and so on and so forth. So this is where you want to write as many paragraphs as needed to fit the requirements of the paper and support the argument. So now, finally, we are ready to conclude our paragraph. The conclusion will be our final topic. Again, doing it this way, I will drag it down and insert it as part of the Roman numeral hierarchy here. And so for the conclusion, what we want to do is to, bear with me one moment as I get my materials, what we want to do for the conclusion is re-emphasize the thesis. So how do we re-emphasize the thesis? Well, first, we don't want to go on with any more new information. So let's cut that. Or actually, why don't I show you again how we move the hierarchy down. There we go. And then we can go on to another couple topics just so we're ahead. Okay, so what do I mean by emphasize the thesis? Well, first of all, we're going to summarize our argument. Connect all the dots for the reader. Make sure they know exactly where you're coming from. Don't use any evidence you've already provided. You should revisit your main supporting points. So you could essentially have a sentence for every single one of your main supporting point paragraphs. Everything mentioned in your topic sentences should be mentioned here. And the very last sentence of your conclusion paragraph states the conclusion and the relevance. Why this paper is important to the reader, to society, to the topic you covered. And you want to place this in command form. A good example of that would be, say you had a very simple thesis like smoking is bad for you because it causes health problems. Then in command form it would be, so don't smoke. So once you've introduced a thesis, then you want to conclude it and tell the person what they're supposed to do with it, hopefully with a little bit of politeness. So a big hint is you'll notice that your thesis statement is a thread, a focus, the almighty director of the paper. Shows the reader the order your reasoning will take in your paper. Start with a strong thesis statement, but keep in mind that it might change as you get more evidence. With the inspiration software, now that you have your outline filled in, what you can do is you can switch it from the outline form into any of the other formats. So just by clicking the diagram button up here, it converts my entire outline into a concept map. Fancy and useful, huh? Well, that's it for my little tutorial for today. I hope that was useful in some regards, and I hope I could get a good grade on this assignment. Thank you very much.